Welcome. Hope you enjoyed the intro video. That is what happens when a couple of M cars gets together. I never thought I would be part of some M cars getting together, but yeah, that's the purpose of this video. I bought a lovely 2005 E60 BMW M5 the other day. It was the cheapest one in the country. Was a bit of a spur of the moment thing. And yeah, in this video I'm gonna try and explain in my limited English why this is one of the awesomest cars on earth, and yeah, the maintenance costs involved in this car, and also preventative maintenance that you should maybe look into should you be interested in buying a car like this. But first, let me just start with a quick background of this car, and just to get you up to speed if you do not know what this is and what this is about. This between 2005 and 2010, BMW built this M5. It is the first and the last car with a V10 engine. This is an F1 inspired 5-liter V10 engine. It revs mad high. Between 6,000 or 8,250 revolutions is where its peak power is situated. So it's a different type of car than you would be used to. Power wise, it kicks out 507 horsepower, or about 383 foot-pounds of torque. Kilowatts, that is 380 kilowatts and about 520 newton meters of torque. So when it was released in 2005, it was the fastest 4-door saloon on earth. So it is an official supercar. You might not be seeing a lot of these guys on the roads. Problem is, people are scared of the maintenance costs with this car. Because of the high revving nature of the engine, it has a tendency for some higher than normal maintenance that needs to be done. look, any car you have to maintain. Any car needs to go for a service every now and then. There's cost involved of keeping it a good, happy running car. This car, unfortunately, it's got an issue with bearings, rod bearings in the engine, at the bottom of the engine. Apparently, and I'm speaking under correction, I'm no technical expert. Apparently, the tolerances for the bearings are so close that the oil struggles to get to the bearings in the engine. They chafe through eventually, where pieces of this bearings get into your oil system and everything, and eventually, if you don't maintain it, you're just gonna have one colossal failure one day, and this engine is gonna explode. So it's something that you must look into and that you must sort out. And while they are busy replacing those rod bearings, it's a good practice, I think, and it's my opinion, that when they drop the whole lower half of the car, they work underneath the car to get to the engine and fix the bearings and everything. Then it's good practice to somewhat do the engine mounts as well, and then the VANOS system. It's like the VVTi or the VTEC or whatever system in other cars. In BMW they call it the VANOS system. It has high pressure lines running to the VANOS system, the oil system there, and they tend to perish over time as well. So it's some good practice to replace them as well. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. Well, in the early examples, some of them it happened fast, but luckily this one has got 180,000 kilometers on the clock, or I think that is about 110,000 miles on it. So it hasn't braked yet, touch wood. So it's now close to its state where I must fix it or do that preventative maintenance, but it hasn't braked yet. So this one is still one of the examples that it lasted a bit. So these rod bearings, you need to replace them about every 80,000 or 60,000 miles, going every 100,000 Ks, thereabouts. You're gonna have to replace them. I'll get into the cost of everything now. Right, so those are the preventative maintenance stuff that I know that one needs to do when buying this car. Other issues reported is the pump of the SMG gearbox sometimes seems to fail, and what is else? The VANOS system, like I say, the VANOS pump has failed in the past, but I mean, this is not common failures every second day or whatever. What I do recommend when buying a car like this, obviously, you must take it for a test drive. Get your mechanic with you or someone that in the know to come with you. If you are used to driving automatic cars and you've driven a few in the past, you're gonna have a fright when you get into this car. This SMG gearbox they got in here, it is both its quirkiest trait and as well as its worst trait of the car.
Oh. This SMG gearbox. But what an engine! Made me laugh like a complete moron.
It's a sequential manual gearbox. It's actually a manual with hydraulic that shifts hydraulically for you when it is in automatic mode. So it's got a paddle shifters as well. You can shift it manually for yourself, especially when you're in M Sport mode. But you're driving in normal mode, you're putting automatic, you're gonna have a fright when the first time the gears change over. This is the most agreeable car on earth, because everybody in the car sitting with you as you're changing gears will be nodding their heads every time you change the gears. So they will be agreeing with everything you say. So get your tax practitioner with you when you're driving the car and sort out all your tax issues, you know, or your lawyer or whatever issues you've got, and you need someone to agree with you, get them in this car with the SMG gearbox. It can get violent when you go up in the revs and you you don't let off the petrol a bit when changing the gears, it feels like it will snap off your neck. So it feels very violent. But when you learn to drive it and you know how to modulate your foot on the throttle, you learn to drive it so that it changes over nicely eventually. So which is one of the nice things, oddly, about this car. There's a bit more driver involvement than with a normal, you know, point and click car. If you buy a car like this, or any sports car, second hand for that matter, the best way to test it and to see that it's functioning properly is to drive the snot out of it. I went to an event, there was an Audi R8 looking for some fun, and I dragged it, and yeah, this is what happened. Right, sorry for the camera work. That's what happens when the cameraman is racing and someone else is doing the camera work. Anywho, the R8 got away from me about 3-4 car lengths at the beginning with a pull away. Then I kept up with it quite a bit. Next morning when I tried to start the car, it didn't idle properly. The idling went up to 1000 revs and then it suddenly dropped again and the car just died, and it kept on doing this. Eventually I got the car running, but very unreliably. Took it to my local BMW guy. He looked at it and the petrol pumps, it's got 2 petrol pumps, a high pressure and a low pressure one apparently. So one of mine failed, so I needed a new petrol pump. With the new petrol pump, I needed a new petrol pump controller, because the controller burns because of the issue with the petrol pump. And somewhere while we're at it, we put in a new petrol filter and everything to get that sorted. So that was my first issue I had with this car. Second issue was I would be driving and suddenly, especially if I moved on a bit in the revs, the car would just go into limp mode. This DSC error comes up, dynamic stability control error comes up, and if you switch off the car and you switch it on again, errors disappeared. We're here with Andre. He's the engine meister.
I'm trying to. So guys, this is the throttles of the E60 M5. As you can see, it's a bit of dirt clogged up, so we have an issue here with the throttle. It keeps on putting on the DSC light. So on this car, what I found is, if the throttle opens completely, there's a piece of wire there, not really supposed to be there. So the throttle gets jammed into the wire. You can see it's been there for a while, so it even broke the sleeving of the wiring. So if I'm just gonna move this up properly like that, so what happens is when your throttle jams in there and that little plastic gets stuck in there, then your throttle it's put more resistance on the throttle, and then
it was an error.
Yeah.
Yes, huh? Easy, quick fix. Just move that cabling sleeve one side and Bob's your uncle. It's fixed, and it's running like a mad cow with hemorrhoids currently. Alright, so let's get into all the maintenance and preventative maintenance as I was talking about. Right, so I bought the car for 180,000 rands. 180,000 rands equates to about 14,000 US dollars, which was the cheapest car in South Africa, as I said. As I said as well, it's got 180,000 kilometers on it. That's about what, 120,000 miles. It's quite high, I know, but when your kilometers is so high or your miles is so high, then the preventative maintenance, as I said, firstly, do the rod bearings. To do the rod bearings is going to cost 23,000 rands. That is about 1,800 US dollars. So we kick off with that, and then the fuel pump. Look, the fuel pump is an issue with all of these old performance cars. My previous all performance car had the same story. As soon as you were pressing on a bit with it, the first time I did, the fuel pump went. So look more into the fuel pump that has 180,000 k's on it or 120,000 miles or whatever is gonna go eventually. So the fuel pump, yeah, that was rough. It's the fuel pump itself, it's the filter, the fuel controller, like I say, and the labor and everything. It gets to about 21,000 rands, which is about $1,600. Yes, right. And then, okay, the other preventative maintenance stuffies also is, like I said, when they open the engine, to do the rod bearings and everything, do the engine mounting, do the VANOS high pressure lines that can perish and everything. Right, for the engine mountings, the pressure lines, and the hoses, consumables and labor, everything is going to cost about 13,600 rands, which is $1,100. Right, all in all, made a little summary this side. So, all in all, preventative maintenance and current maintenance that's going to be put in and busy putting into this car comes to $4,500 US or 58,000 rands. Alright, so I know that sounds heavy, but I purchased the car for $14,000 or 180,000 rands. So all in all, with all the maintenance and everything, you're looking at a car of about $18,500 or 240,000 rands. Then you have got a V10 Supercar, which will last you for at least another 100,000 k's, you know, 100 or 80,000 miles or whatever the case may be. So you should be sorted for that. The day-to-day running costs of it, if you're going to drive it slowly, which for my mind I cannot understand why you would buy a car like this if you want to drive it slowly. But should you drive it slowly or normally, you're looking at an oil change every 7,000 miles or 10,000 kilometers. Remember, those rod bearings, they perish in the friction and little pieces of metal will go into your oil system, so you need to flush your oil system every now and then and change it. If you are going to drive the snot out of it like I am going to do, you need to do it every 3,000 miles or every 5,000 kilometers. You need to do that oil change. Oil change, you're looking for the oil at loan, it's about 2,500 rands. Yeah, it's about $200 for the oil. That's excluding the labor and the stuff to do it. So yeah, remember, just if you keep up with those oil changes and stuff, and every 80,000 miles your rod bearing, replacing the rod bearings and stuff, you will be sorted. Also, bear in mind, for a car this age, 13 years old, you can get everything. All the parts are still available from BMW. You can buy a brand new engine for this car. Brand new engine for this car is 360,000 rands. Happy days. That is about what, $30,000 to buy one of these engines new. You can get them second hand as well, all that stuff is. There is something that works on this car, which I was so surprised about, and which I must show you guys, because I don't think you've ever seen this, and it's something I think I'm gonna have to disable, because when I use this function of this car, I nearly caused traffic accidents last time. So let me show you. Just focus here on the light area there by the light. Just focus there, and let me just show you something. That is called indicator lights. Yes, BMW drivers, they don't have a clue what this is, and I've seen this phenomenon before. So this car came with them and they actually work. Like I say, last time I put them on, someone nearly went off the highway. They could not understand what was I doing with these lights here. So I'm going to disable this option for now, just to make the car safer for other people around it. Let's talk about the reason for buying such a car. I mean, yes, there's maintenance involved in this car, and yes, it's not maybe the best financial decision on earth, but you know what, you only live once, man. My friends and stuff, they are criticizing me, and people I know, they say, man, you must take your money and you must buy houses and, you know, put money away for the kids' education and all that stuff and stop making debt in these bloody cars and all that stuff. I say you only live once, man. I don't want to be an old man one day having no debt, nicely everything paid off, house, cars, whatever, and I need a cane to get into the car, you know, and you know, be that old guy with a nice supercar. You know, I want to be still young enough to enjoy them and have some fun with them. So yeah, if that means making debt now and buying them now and enjoying them now, and then when I'm older I'll be responsible and buy myself a Toyota Corolla or something. Okay, I'll never do that. But yeah, then I'm gonna do it. 1, 2, 3.
This is awesome. This is utterly awesome. I'm gonna have to get me one of these. I'm so buy one of these. You can pick them up for around 15 grand in the UK. Oh dear, it's my next purchase.
Alright, so that was my attempt at explaining to you what this car is all about. In a nutshell, it's awesome. Get yourself one. Just know there is some maintenance cost involved, but more than your average down a run-of-the-mill car. But if you maintain it, it will treat you absolutely awesomely. Yeah, the reason I bought this car is for emergency car. Should we not have one of the other cars there for wifey, for her travelings and stuff and school runs and everything. And yeah, the other thing I'm going to do with it is I'm going to race the crap out of it. So stay tuned if you want to see some more racing videos with this car. Putting the old girl against the newer competition of these days, and just showing you how freaking amazing this car is for its age. It should have been illegal in 2005 to purchase a car like this because it's so blindingly fast. So I'm gonna drag that. I'm gonna keep this as my standard car and drag it against other people or other cars, you know, modern cars, and see what it does, just for interest's sake and for the fun of it. And then the Mustang, when it comes back after being supercharged, is gonna have supercar levels of power that I will use to drag against modern, you know, supercars, which justifies it. So I can cover the whole spectrum, the really fast cars and then the proper fast cars as well. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you're welcome to like it and subscribe if you want to see more about the E60 M5 and the Mustang. Thanks, cheers.